Hello, friends. A hearty welcome to our viewers, and we appreciate your time for this program named Opinion Suggestion. Like the name suggests, the format of this program is to convey our opinion about an ongoing issue and also suggest best possible solution from our point of view to resolve that issue. It is up to the discretion of viewers either to agree or disagree with our opinion and suggestions. If you agree, please like and share it so that decision makers can consider it. If you disagree, we courteously request to ignore our opinion, suggestion, or both. Hello friends, welcome to this new episode, Forgetting Gandhiji. Let's start with a brief introduction about Gandhiji for the younger generation who turned 18 in the last 8 or 10 years. This is the sect who hardly know about Rashtrapita, father of nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. First of all, Gandhiji was a literate person. He studied law at University of Bombay, now called as Mumbai, for 1 year, then continued law at University College London. Gandhiji went to South Africa on 24th May 1893 to attend a legal matter of Dada Abdullah Jhaveri. Dada Abdullah, who hailed from Porbandar, knew Gandhiji and hired him, as he, apart from being a London-trained lawyer, also spoke Gujarati. In South Africa on 7 June 1893, he was thrown off the first-class compartment of a Pretoria-bound train in Pietermaritzburg because of his skin color by a white train official. The young lawyer spent the night in the waiting hall on the deserted railway station. The humiliation that he went through convinced him to take a greater call to fight for the rights of Indians in South Africa. In South Africa, 1913, Mahatma Gandhi launched the famous Wall-Crest Satyagraha against the Pass Laws, Registration of Marriages Act, £3 tax and restriction of movement of Indians. Women played a leading role in this protest and Kasturba Gandhi along with others were sent to prison. Mahatma Gandhi was himself put behind bars. Ultimately, General Smuts gave up and in 1914 passed the Indian Relief Act, which scrapped the discriminatory laws. Mahatma Gandhi came to South Africa for a short professional stint but ultimately went on to spend 21 long years in the country with brief spells in India and England. Gandhiji returned to his homeland India on 9 January 1915 from South Africa. By this time he was a known international personality. He was not an ordinary lawyer. He was an experienced activist, politician who had achieved milestones accredited internationally when compared to any of the freedom fighters struggling for freedom of India in those years. This celebrity status had definitely helped him gather his team in India after he was asked to join Indian National Congress by Gopal Krishna Gokhale and start the struggle for freedom of India with his unique and only possible methods that had brought people together from different religions, regions, castes, financial statuses and fight for the one single motive, freedom of India. Gandhiji was both diplomatic with Britishers as well as aggressive against Britishers based on situation and timings. Like he agreed with Britishers to actively recruit Indians for the World War I as an effort to lay a path for freedom of India, and in other issues he strongly fought against Britishers. His campaigns that were successful include Champaran Satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha, Khilafat movement that not only gained huge Muslim support in freedom struggle but also stopped Hindu-Muslim riots to a large extent. Non-cooperation movement. With his book Hind Swaraj, 1909, Gandhiji, aged 40, declared that British rule was established in India with the cooperation of Indians and had survived only because of this cooperation. If Indians refused to cooperate, British rule would collapse and Swaraj would come. Salt Satyagraha. Negotiations. The government represented by Lord Irwin decided to negotiate with Gandhi. The Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed in March 1931. The British government agreed to free all political prisoners in return for the suspension of the civil disobedience movement. According to the pact, Gandhiji was invited to attend the Round Table Conference in London for discussions and as the sole representative of the Indian National Congress. Roundtable conferences. During the discussions between Gandhiji and the British government over 1931 till 1932, at the roundtable conferences, Gandhiji sought constitutional reforms as a preparation to the end of colonial British rule and begin the self-rule by Indians. World War II. Gandhiji opposed providing any help to the British war effort, and he campaigned against any Indian participation in World War II. Gandhiji's campaign did not enjoy the support of the Indian population nor of many Indian leaders such as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Rajendra Prasad, and as such failed. Despite his efforts, over 2.5 million Indians volunteered and joined the British military to fight on various fronts of the Allied forces. Quit India movement. As the World War II progressed, Gandhiji intensified his demand for independence, calling for the British to quit India in a 1942 speech in Mumbai. This was Gandhiji's and the Congress Party's most definitive revolt aimed at securing the British exit from India. The British government responded quickly to the Quit India speech, and within hours after Gandhiji's speech arrested Gandhiji and all the members of Congress Working Committee. His countrymen retaliated the arrest by damaging or burning down hundreds of government-owned railway stations, police stations, and cutting down telegraph wires. Gandhiji's worldwide recognition. Time magazine named Gandhiji the Man of the Year in 1930. In the same magazine's 1999 list of the most important people of the century, Gandhiji was second only to Albert Einstein, who had called Gandhiji the greatest man of our age. The University of Nagpur awarded him an LLD in 1937. The Government of India awarded the annual Gandhi Peace Prize to distinguished social workers, world leaders, and citizens. In 2011, Time named Gandhiji as one of the top 25 political icons of all time. Gandhiji did not receive the Nobel Peace Prize, although he was nominated 5 times between 1937 and 1948, including the first ever nomination by the American Friends Service Committee, though he made the short list only twice in 1937 and 1947. Decades later, the Nobel Committee publicly declared its regret for the omission and admitted to deeply divided nationalistic opinion denying the award. After 21 years of Gandhiji's death, Great Britain released a stamp to honor him. In the honor of Mahatma Gandhi, the United Nations released postage on October 2, 2009. In 2019, Gandhiji was honored by over 100 countries by issuing postage stamps. There are many, but we are listing some of the world leaders who were influenced by Gandhiji and his non-violent approach. They had applied Gandhiji's principles in their own struggle and succeeded. Martin Luther King Jr., one of the most revered leaders of the civil rights movement in America, a Baptist minister, Dr. King was a sworn believer of Christian faith and Gandhian philosophy. When King got the Nobel Prize in December 1964, he said he drew inspiration from Gandhiji. During his speech, he said the approach to the problem of racial injustice was first successfully used by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi to challenge the might of British Empire and free his people from the political domination and economic exploitation. Nelson Mandela, also called as South African Gandhi. Nelson Mandela fought against South Africa's racist white nationalist government's apartheid policies. He joined the African National Congress in 1944 and was engaged in fighting the ruling apartheid, supporting the Pretoria regime that governed his motherland. It is believed that ANC was largely based on the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi, who had left a deep impression on the South African society as he first started his satyagraha in the country. Cho Man Sik, a leader of the Korean independence movement. Cho Man Sik is known as Korean Gandhi, who was inspired by Bapu's principle of non-violence and Swadeshi or indigenous self-reliance. Ho Chi Minh, described as half Lenin, half Gandhi by historians, the communist leader was the architect of Vietnamese independence. He is believed to have been heavily influenced by Gandhian thought but faces criticism for the violence perpetrated by his followers in the name of land and economic reforms. Barack Obama writes on Mahatma Gandhi in his memoir. Former US President Barack Obama has said that his fascination with India largely revolved around Mahatma Gandhi, whose successful non-violent campaign against the British rule became a beacon for the other dispossessed, marginalized groups. Following video is a glimpse of Gandhiji's popularity in UK. We can imagine the kind of strong global personality he was and was not someone to be ignored even by Britishers. In India, definitely people from all walks of life during his times knew his legendary status and respected him a lot and responded positively against his every call for freedom of India. It was during his first year back in India that Gandhi was given the honorary title of Mahatma.
Here he is at last, the mystery man of India. Our first glimpse as the Rajputana came alongside at Marseille. And there's a woman of whom you've probably all read, but never seen in a picture. Miss Madeline Slade, the English daughter of an admiral, who now prefers to be known as Malara Ben. She's one of Mr. Gandhi's most devout disciples. She's leading the way ashore now, and just behind her comes Mr. Gandhi, dressed as he said he would be, in just his loincloth, even in the chilly climes of Europe. And he's carrying with him his pots and pans, which he declared at the customs. He was trotted around Marseille to several receptions and made one or two speeches which rather frightened the French authorities. But when asked to speak into the sound film microphone, he said, "I think not." And so we go on our way to England. Well, here we are at Folkestone, with the Biarritz coming alongside, and as Gandhi said, in proper English weather, pouring rain and bitterly cold. Miss Slade was the first ashore to tend to the luggage, that is, the goat's milk, etc. She was followed by Gandhi's son, and then came the little man, still scantily clad, but with an extremely wet blanket around his tiny frame. I'm sure he must have been frozen. We were in thick overcoats. He picked his way through the puddles along the quay side, and he was wearing sandals, by the way, to the waiting motor car, for he decided that he'd rather go up to London by road. He insisted on sitting up in the front seat with the driver. He said that he could see better that way. So he tucked himself in, and so off to London, whilst his followers went by the boat train. In town, quite a lot of people had waited in the pouring rain outside the Friends Meeting House on the Euston Road to see what he really looked like. But at first they were quite disappointed because he went in the back way. But shortly afterwards he left by the front way. And then they really did see quite a lot of him, even his knees. No, he won't speak into the microphone. And so to his popular home, where we leave this bizarre little man, whose coming has caused so much comment, complete with loincloth, spinning wheel and goat's milk, feeling sure that he cannot complain of his reception or the publicity he has received, from which, by the way, we always understood that he shrank.